Two. Give me two. That's good.
If you've ever seen a John Travolta movie,
Do you dance, Chili?
you know that at some point, he's probably doing this. You also know that he's rather quite good at dancing.
Oh, yeah?
When the term the king of dance gets thrown around, Travolta's name is almost always certainly somewhere near the top of the list. Sure, you'll hear other names. Michael Jackson, Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly. But when it comes specifically to movies, other than Patrick Swayze, Travolta really had no competition. But of course, that was then, and this is now.
Thor, what do you know?
So surely, he doesn't dance anymore, right? Well, kind of. If you go looking for it in his recent work, you'll probably find yourself disappointed. Because yeah, he doesn't really dance in his movies anymore.
You kidding me?
Which means instead, this is what we're left with. And then there's Timothy Chalamet. Well, he's actually not that bad, and neither is he. There are obviously still actors who can dance. There are still great dancers in movies. There are still choreographers doing incredible work. But there's a difference between being able to dance and being the guy who dances. The guy where the dancing itself is part of why people bought a ticket. Because nobody today has really done what John Travolta did in 1977 and 1978. Travolta didn't just happen to dance in Saturday Night Fever. The dancing was the movie. People weren't leaving the theater saying, wow, what an interesting character study of working class Brooklyn. They were doing this. And then somehow, he did it again.
Come on.
Grease. Different movie, different style.
You know, if you fix up this car, it could be Makeout City, you know that? Right.
Same guy. And suddenly, you've got another generation of people trying to move like John Travolta. That's the difference. Travolta was the cornerstone of these movies. Without him, Saturday Night Fever and Grease could have very easily disappeared into the endless void of forgettable movies of the past. And the cornerstone of his performances was his dancing. Think about it. It's actually kind of hard to name one genuinely iconic dancing performance from the last 20 years of cinema. Not a good dance, not impressive choreography, not somebody who clearly spent 6 months with a dance instructor. I mean a dance where you can show somebody the silhouette and they immediately know what movie you're talking about. That kind of iconic. And maybe that's unfair, because you could make the argument that Travolta arrived at exactly the right time.
I can't believe this.
The late 70s, disco, musicals, a culture where dancing was simply a much bigger deal than it is today. Maybe Travolta didn't create the moment, maybe he just happened to be standing in the middle of it.
What's the matter with you?
But there's just one little problem with that argument. 1994. Nearly 20 years later, disco was dead. Musicals certainly weren't dominating Hollywood. And John Travolta walks into a dark, violent Quentin Tarantino crime movie, playing a heroin-addicted hitman, and somehow does it again. That dance has absolutely no business being as famous as it is. There are no giant sets. He's not doing backflips. He's barely even moving. It's basically John Travolta, Uma Thurman, a dance floor, and this. And somehow, it became one of the most recognizable scenes in movie history. That's when the "he was just a product of the disco era" argument starts to fall apart. Because apparently you can take away the white suit, take away the disco ball, take away the musical, take away basically everything that made Saturday Night Fever work, and Travolta will still find a way to make people remember him dancing. Which is why I don't think anyone would even bat an eye if you said John Travolta has 3 of the most iconic dances in cinema. Maybe even the 3. I mean, who even else comes to mind? And it's not because he's necessarily the most technically impressive dancer who ever lived. It's the way he looks while he's doing it. Nobody looks as comfortable. Nobody looks as smooth. And very few people have ever looked that confident while dancing. He just moves. And unfortunately, nobody has really stepped up to fill that terrible void he left behind.
Maybe there's 2 of us, right?
Because even now, even at 70 years old, Travolta can step onto some random talk show and do this.
Right. Guys, John Travolta!
And everybody loses their minds. These clips dominate the talk show YouTube scene. Millions of views, people cheering, hosts begging him to recreate dances he did decades ago. Meanwhile, a movie comes out today with a giant budget, Months of choreography, 12 dancers, 400 camera cuts, and approximately the entire population of Los Angeles working on it. And 3 weeks later, nobody remembers the dance. Travolta does this, and everybody knows exactly who it is. So maybe cinema doesn't need better choreography. Maybe it doesn't need bigger dance numbers. Maybe it just needs somebody with that thing Travolta had. Whatever the hell that thing is.